Welcome back to the Copywriters Podcast with your host, the world's greatest copywriting coach, David Garfinkel. David, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Nathan. How are you?
I'm good, man, and I'm excited. I've only read the headline of today's show notes, but it got me intrigued and stoked for today's episode.
Cool. All right. Well, let me jump right in and I will reveal what's in the headline very shortly. Ever wonder how to set yourself, your product, or your business apart? It's a big puzzle these days. The best general advice I've heard is from our recent podcast guest, Scott Zetlan. Different is better than better. It almost sounds silly, but in a super competitive marketplace where products live in the real world, it's not silly at all. It's actually profound. Because here's what it means: when you can show something different about what you're offering and how it makes a huge difference to your prospect, then you've increased your chances massively of making a sale. Now, the problem is, what kind of difference will appeal above all others to your prospect, and how do you use it to describe your product? I have an answer to that question. I'll share it with you. I'll also share a method to find out what that difference is. But first, let me tell you about the difference that makes all the difference on this podcast. Copy is powerful. You're responsible for how you use what you hear on this podcast, and most of the time, common sense is all you need. But if you make extreme claims or if you're writing copy for offers in highly regulated industries like health, finance, and business opportunity, you may want to get a legal review after you write and before you start using your copy. My larger clients do this all the time. Okay, you've waited long enough. Maybe you've waited your entire career for this answer, but I'm not going to make you wait much longer. First, let me tell you what the difference you're looking for definitely is not. It's not a new feature you know is so cool, no one's ever seen anything like it. Cool new features are amazingly seductive, but they are rarely the answer to providing the difference that makes people beg for what you are selling. Also, it's not just an amazing benefit that will improve or transform your product's life. It might be, and those things help sell, but don't count on that being the difference that makes a difference. No, it's something way more special than that. It's one particular benefit that changes everything for your prospect in a very specific way. It's the benefit that provides a solution or the possibility of attainment of a goal that your prospect has been looking for all this time. Now, maybe they didn't even know they were looking for it, but they know it the minute that you tell them about it. You see, the big payoff comes when you find that one elusive hidden benefit. And that was the headline that Nathan was saying: how to find the hidden elusive benefit in your product that changes everything. A hidden benefit is something that's not obvious, but highly desirable once you figure it out. It may not be unique to you or your product, but if you're the first to claim it and you can make a case why you have it and therefore people should buy from you, magic can happen. I'll give you an example of an elusive benefit that I found for a new product I'll be launching. It took me about a year to find this hidden benefit. After that, I'll tell you how you can find yours. It may take a week, a month, or a year, or even longer. Unfortunately, there's no reliable formula for cranking out the hidden benefit like there is for almost everything else these days. But there is a reliable process. It's just hard to tell how long it will take you. I can tell you this: if you stay with it, you will find your elusive hidden benefit. Okay, so my story begins last year, or maybe it begins decades ago when I took a playwriting class in New York City, followed by studying at Players Workshop at Second City in Chicago and multiple screenwriting seminars in Los Angeles and Marin County. Back to last year, I published a book called The Persuasion Story Code. Now, we've hit number one on Amazon multiple times and sold thousands of copies. not at the J.K. Rowling or Stephen King levels, but we've done well with it. So people started asking me for a course. And over the last few months, I've been putting one together with my friend, teacher, and mentoring client, Dr. Doug Pugh, who's also been a popular guest on this podcast multiple times. We've almost finished the course and we're starting to put together the marketing. Actually, a lot of the marketing was done before we ever started the course, and a lot of the course is based on the marketing as well as the book. But one thing we didn't put together recently was the elusive hidden benefit. That is, what is the real advantage of taking this course? So the obvious answer is you'll be able to put stories for sales and copy together better and faster than ever before. And that's a good benefit, but it doesn't solve a nagging problem. After all, most people don't wake up every day thinking, oh, if only I could put stories together faster and better. But what most people in business do wake up with a nagging feeling about is, what is keeping more people from buying from me? And I realize the answer today more than ever is trust. It's hard to get trusted in today's suspicious marketplace. Then I realized, and I'm saying this like it happened in 5 minutes, but it really took a year or longer. Then I realized stories are the single best way to get people who've never met you to trust you. Stories automatically engender trust. There are lots of reasons for this, but the bottom line is people who need other people to trust them fast use stories to get it done. And that's the hidden benefit of my course. It gives you 25 surefire ways to develop more trust with prospects and increase your sales just by adding stories to your pitch. Now, again, it sounds simple, but that took a long time to come up with, and I'm pretty confident it'll work. And I'll tell you more about the course when it's ready, but now let's move on to how do you find your hidden benefit?
Stories tend to put people in a mode where they trust you to do the driving. That it's no longer me critically reading, it's you telling me a story. And in that process alone, in order to buy into a story, they even have to just give a little bit of trust right up front just to listen to the story. So it kind of triggers that to continue on. I just wanted to add that because I think it's such a powerful point.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the very act of listening to story is an on-ramp to trusting the person. Plus, there are other factors. But I never thought of that. I love that. That's great. Thank you. Okay, so how do you find your hidden benefit? Not just for my course, not just for stories, but for your product, your service. And it's usually not an intuitive process, or like I said before, it's not the result of a simple formula. However, I can give you a proven process that will work. I can't tell you how long it will take, but I can tell you if you stay with it, it will work. And it's in 3 stages, and that's what we'll spend the rest of our time talking about today. Stage 1 is finding all the features. And I do mean all the features in your product, identifying them, writing them down. Don't leave anything out. And here's why. You never know in advance which one will bloom into that elusive hidden benefit. Stage 2 is turning those features into benefits, including benefits that are not obvious. Maybe even some benefits that seem far-fetched at first, but leaving no stone unturned. And stage 3 is the money stage, picking the one benefit that resonates with many people in a deep way, with the deep desires of your marketplace, and putting the best words on it so it becomes instantly recognizable as the difference everyone in your market is looking for. And so that's what we're going to do today.
I have a question for you. I heard you on a podcast years ago, and you were talking about difference, and the host of the podcast said desirable difference. So we started off the show saying different is better than better, But I wanted to get your take before we jump into this on the importance of the desirable part of desirable difference. I'm thinking of people that say, "Hey, look at mine. Mine is different," but it's different in a way that just doesn't matter.
Uh, oh, sure. At the most basic level, I mean, the difference has to mean something to your prospect. It has to tie into a desire the prospect already has. I mean, if you're going to um, sell a tennis ball with bumps on it like moon craters because you think that's cool, nobody wants it and it's useless. You're not going to sell many of those tennis balls,
I
even
was
though might look cool once.
I was thinking the same thing with tennis ball, but I like to play fetch with my dog, and the green tennis ball keeps getting lost in the grass, but somebody comes out with an orange tennis ball. Now, that might not be desirable to people who play tennis, but for me playing fetch, an orange tennis ball doesn't get lost in the grass, so it is a desirable difference.
Well, yeah, but a tennis ball with moon craters on it might not be desirable to your dog.
True that.
Okay, that's good. All right, so so again, we've got this process. We've got three stages. Let's go to the first stage, which is find and list out the features, all of them. Let's start with identifying all the features. The more painstaking you're willing to let this be, the more pains you're willing to take, the better your end result will be. Now, you can just make a quick list of interesting features, and if you did that, you might be leaving out the one feature that can reveal the one benefit, which leads you to the ultimate hidden benefit that can make your offer take off like a rocket. That's why it's important to be thorough if you want to end up striking gold. Don't go halfway, go all the way. And how do you do this? All right. First, list all the technical specifications and features of the product. What are the components? Are there any special components? What are they made of? What are the dimensions? What does it weigh? This stage of the process really it requires a meticulous approach. You might find this boring and you might be pressed for time, but don't give in to the temptation to do a half-assed job here. Don't leave anything out, no matter how small or insignificant it might seem at first glance. I spent a lot of time writing about persuasion stories on social media to promote the book. It took me time to realize which kinds of stories created trust. I, I mean, all of them do to some degree, but some really do. I knew what all the kinds of stories were. I I had an intuitive sense of what to use when that would work, but I didn't have a sense of how they all fit together until I started explaining it on LinkedIn and Twitter. And the reason I was explaining it was to put up a post to sell a book. See, I knew how to use them perfectly well, but I suffered from a serious curse of knowledge when it came to explaining them. That curse of knowledge gradually receded as I worked with the teaching material and I worked on developing the marketing material, but it didn't recede from writing and using the stories itself. I already knew how to do that. Understand, subject matter expertise and marketing expertise can be two different things. Now, here is why you want to make a granular audit of all the features. Sometimes the most unexpected ones can end up leading to the most valuable benefits. For example, let's say you're writing about a new smartphone. You'd start by listing everything from screen size and resolution to processor speed, camera specs, and battery life. But don't stop there. You'd include the less obvious features like water resistance, the type of glass used for the screen, even the materials used in construction. Each of these could be potentially important to certain customers or provide a unique selling point. As you create this list, try to be as specific as possible. Instead of just noting that you have a high resolution camera, include the exact number of megapixels and any special features like optical zoom or low light capabilities. This level of detail will be invaluable when you start translating your features into benefits. And here's a tip from long experience. Don't just rely on marketing materials or engineering specs for your research. If possible, get your hands on the actual product, use it. If you can, compare your products side by side with competing products. It's this firsthand experience that can reveal nuances that most people miss. You might discover strengths and weaknesses in your product that weren't immediately apparent from the spec sheet. Now, for complex products, you may end up having to consult with subject matter experts. These could be engineers, designers, or product managers who are involved in the product's development. When talking to these experts, don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions. Don't be embarrassed by looking like a dummy. Compared to them on this subject, you probably are. But of course, you know more about copywriting than they do. And the more you understand about the product, the better equipped you'll be to write compelling copy. Ask them what excites them about the product. Often their enthusiasm can point you towards powerful selling points you might have overlooked. Here are some questions for technical people or inventors. What was the biggest challenge in developing this feature? How does this compare to similar features in competitor products? What customer problems were you trying to solve with this feature? Are there any unique or innovative aspects to this feature that customers might not realize? I know this is a lot, and they're going to have had it with you. They're going to say, "I'm sorry, I got a meeting." Push them. I mean, this is a good time to be, pleasantly aggressive and insistent because you really need the information. And as you gather all of it, create a comprehensive feature inventory categorized by function. This isn't just a simple list. You're organizing features into logical groups that will help you see connections and potential benefits more clearly. Finally, one more thing. This is so damn hard for copywriters. I've seen this with exercises with some of my clients where we're just trying to go through facts. And remember, at this stage, you're not trying to sell anything. You will. At this point, you're just making a thorough inventory of features. This is what Gene Schwartz and Ted Nicholas used to do with books. And sometimes they ended up knowing more about what was in the books than the authors themselves. I know that sounds crazy, but I can understand it. When you write a book, you don't always remember everything that's in it. Anyway, your goal here is to become an expert on your product and its place in the market. The more thoroughly you understand your product, the easier it will be to write persuasive copy that really connects with your prospects. And most important for today, the easier it will be to eventually find that hidden benefit.
I remember listening to an interview with Ted Nicholas, and he was saying in his copy he teased at something, and the author said, "We don't talk about that in the book." And he goes, "Yeah, you do, right here on page 138." And he opened the book, and the author was like, "Oh, I forgot that we put that in there." So that just goes to your point of how thoroughly these guys did this and how important that is.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, copywriting is not all about the details. There's a lot more to it than that. But if you leave the details part out, that that automatically brands you as a C-level copywriter or lower. Okay, so stage two, turn every feature into at least one benefit, and probably two. Now, what I'm about to say is copywriting 101, but the difference here is you really want to stretch your mind past what you normally do, if that is, you're committed to the search for the hidden benefit. The most important thing to remember about this stage of the process is that it's all about mindset. You have to keep in mind this question: why does or would this benefit matter to the customer? So you can begin by asking, so what, for each feature. When you ask that, you push yourself to think from the customer's perspective and figure out why they should care about a particular feature. Let's look at the smartphone again. Let's say it has 5G capability. So what? 5G means faster download speeds. So what? 5G means you can stream high quality video. without buffering, even when you're outside your house or office, as long as you have a good cellular connection. So what? 5G means you can be on Zoom calls anywhere, or maybe even more important, watch Copywriters podcast on YouTube. Here's the key. Keep asking so what until you find a benefit that touches your customer's life in a meaningful way. And this is a key that will bring you closer to finding a hidden benefit, because the so what technique helps uncover benefits that might not be immediately obvious. And the next part is where it gets really good. You identify the emotional payoff associated with each benefit. See, with 5G, for example, the emotional payoff might be a feeling of freedom that comes from being able to work or play just about anywhere. Or it might be the feeling of relief of never missing an important call or meeting due to poor connectivity. Or it could be the feeling of knowing you always have the latest technology at your fingertips. Now, don't just do this for one benefit. Do this technique for all the benefits. And as you go through this stage of the process, you'll come up with some ideas you've never thought of before. And that sets you up for the last stage of the process, choosing the most compelling hidden benefit.
Okay, this is the payoff. This is why I'm here today.
All right, so stage 3, the payoff. Find the one hidden benefit and put it on steroids. Now that you've got your benefits, include all the so what benefits, and you need to go back out into the marketplace and at least have a conversation with someone who's a little distance from your work to help you find the right one to use as a hidden benefit. Now, remember, I mentioned Scott Zetlan, who was on the show a few weeks ago and who I mentioned earlier in this show. He told me in a mastermind conversation recently that one thing he finds most clients fail to do is actually talk with their customers. In a world of errors and omissions, not talking with your customers is both a serious error and can be a costly omission. Because here's what you're missing. There's something that a lot of them want or are bothered by or haven't been able to solve that matches up with at least one of your so what benefits. And when you hear that, it'll connect the dots. And let's take it one step further. Once you've connected the dots, you can take the benefit and put it on steroids by turning it into a persuasion story. Okay, so let's go back to my hidden benefit for the persuasion story code course. We're going to put it in an unexpected future benefit story. That's a type of story, unexpected future benefit story. Here are the questions you use to create that kind of story, along with an answer for each one. Okay, what's the unexpected benefit? Remember, we're writing a unexpected future benefit story about unexpected benefit or hidden benefit. What's the hidden benefit? Or what's the unexpected benefit of this course? That's what we're doing. So the unexpected benefit is a new way to increase sales every time you use this course. Okay, question number 2. How is it like other benefits, but what makes it different? What's different about persuasion stories in this case? Stories always get attention, but there are a number of specific persuasion stories that can build trust faster with a prospect than anything else, except possibly a referral or knowing the person doing the selling personally already. Question number 3, what are the implications or spin-offs to this benefit? That is, by having this benefit, what else will the prospect be able to get, do, or be? Well, here it is. When you can make more sales, you can grow your business faster, you can take more time off, and you can put more money in the bank. Question number 4, what does the prospect risk missing out on by not having this benefit? Simply put, they'll miss sales, they'll miss getting the attention they deserve for their content and their marketing, and they'll miss the higher profits they could have earned. Okay, so that was just the 4 questions and the 4 answers. All right. Now, let's take the answers and put them into an unexpected future benefit story. With the Persuasion Story Code course, you've got a new way to increase sales every time you use it. That's because stories always get attention, but there are some specific types of stories that also build trust for you in your marketing. The only faster way to build trust is if someone already knows you personally or knows the person who might have referred them to you. When you start using the types of stories you'll learn about in the course, you'll start getting all the benefits of trust without having to depend on the people who know you. So you can get trusted faster in all your copy, and you won't have to miss out on all the extra profit and enhanced reputation you get from these stories. Wow, that's powerful, if I do say so myself.
Okay, before we jump into the recap of today's episode, I just wanted to add one thing. You touched on it a little bit, the power of listening to your customers. I've found quite a few times that the customers will bring up a benefit that I didn't even think of. I'll be talking to them, I'll be reading their reviews, and they'll say, I know it was meant to be used this way, but because of this weird thing right here, I'm actually using it this way and it's working out great. And it's like, oh, I didn't even realize that that was a potential benefit. And if you see it more than once, you see it 3 or 4 times, you're like, oh, okay, so this is a benefit that people really like. And then the other thing, you kind of mentioned this as well. So number one, the customers might tell you what the hidden benefit is. Or if you're working on a product or if you're working on a service and there's competition out there for it, talking to the customers about, hey, I know you love this solution, but what's the one thing you wish you could change? What's the one area where it kind of falls flat for you? And having your ear to the ground for that conversation can also say, hey, a lot of people are complaining about this. Can we do something to make ours overcome that objection? And then that can be your unexpected hidden benefit, your elusive hidden benefit as well. So I just wanted to emphasize talking to your customers, reading your reviews, reading your feedback emails, so important.
Oh yeah, and I didn't think about that. I mean, I know about that in other contexts. I really like that. A hidden benefit can be something you construct, you contrive, because if you can find a complaint that people have with every other product that it doesn't do something or it does something in a way they don't like, and you can fix that, that can be your hidden benefit for sure. And that can really work great.
But that can only happen if, like you said, you're listening to the customers.
Yeah, you got to talk to them. They're part of your business, whether you realize it or not. You better
Mm-hmm.
talk to them. All right, so let's recap the process. Stage one is start with a complete inventory of all of the features of your product. Stage two is make one benefit at least for each feature, and then take each benefit one step further by asking, so what, and writing down the answer. In stage three, pick the hidden benefit that most closely aligns with a deep and widespread desire of your target market and lead your marketing with that.
All right. Lot of good information in this episode, and I think this is one of the like cherry on the top things where once you've got the basics down and then you learn a couple of these little, I don't want to say tactics, but for lack of a better word, tactics, this is the type of thing that can really push your copy over the top.
Yeah, it really can. This is what the best copywriters do. This is what people sometimes spend months, working on. I mean, you can't just jump to this because it sounds sexy. It's got to be the cherry on top, but there's got to be a sundae underneath. There's got to be ice cream and nuts and whipped cream. Got to
Mm-hmm.
take care of those things first.
And very last thing that I'm going to mention, a lot of copywriters do one and done projects. Here, pay me, I'll write your sales funnel for you, and then I'll take the money and I'll run.
Hmm.
And this type of thing, you mentioned this took you a year of thinking before you came up with it. And if you're a one and done copywriter, you're not going to have the time to relook at the copy and find these little things. And I think that in the business world, in the world of copywriting, there's this idea that, hey, the first draft is going to be the one that works. And a lot of times that's why all of my clients I have on retainer, I work with for years at a time. And it's because 6 months later, oh my gosh, customers keep saying this. Oh my gosh, I just thought of this. Let's try it out. You don't have that option if you're just doing one-off contracts. So another just a little bit of a side tangent, but if you are a copywriter, this is one of the benefits that you can offer to people by getting them on a retainer rather than the one and done model that most copywriters subscribe to.
Yeah, 100%. All of my clients now, of course, most of my clients are mentoring clients, but they're all long-term relationships because, yeah, you can get to the point where you can solve any problem quickly and it sounds good and it's convincing and it might even be right. But really, these days, so many things have to be tested and so much depends on uncovering new information, which takes time sometimes. It just does.
Yep. All right. Another fantastic episode, David. I appreciate you. We will put a link to the persuasion story code in the show notes for this episode. If you want to check that out, get a sneak peek of what'll be in the course when the course comes out, go check out the book, and we'll put that in the show notes over at copywriterspodcast.com. While you're there, leave a like, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and until next time, we will catch you later.
Catch you later.